I welcome everybody here today to this Themes meeting. I didn't think we'd have to do another one of these, but however, that's the way it is. We have an apology for Kushla. So could I get someone to move that apology be accepted?
I'll move that, Ryan.
Thanks, Stephen. Seconder?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Sally. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. Confirmation of minutes of the last meeting. You all had a read of those, and is everyone happy with those?
Yep.
Everyone's happy?
Yeah.
I think what we'll do when we have a vote is I'll ask if anyone doesn't agree with, and it might be just about the easier.
Yep.
So will someone move those minutes true and accurate record?
I'll move.
Thanks, Stephen. Second it.
I'll second.
Thanks, Sally. Everyone in agreement? Anyone who doesn't agree with those minutes being a true and accurate record? Okay, passed. Just remind everyone to declare an interest if there's anything you've got any interest in anything we're talking about today. I don't think there will be, so we'll move on to the Roxbury Entertainment Centre upgrade project. We've got Christina going to talk to us on that one. So welcome, Christina.
Hi, everyone.
How you going?
I'm doing well. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was just waiting for the red box around my face to say that I'm live. Yeah. Kia ora. So I am presenting today a report about the Roxbury stage upgrade project, asking the board to consider the removal actually of the Auditorium Lighting Bar replacement and the remaining funds to be transferred from this project to the earthquake strengthening and fire upgrade for the Roxbury Entertainment Centre. To give a brief overview, as I'm sure everyone's read the report, is that this has been a project that's been ongoing since about 2017, and I think we're quite there. It's been quite a journey and a collaborative approach as well with RECEP and the engineer to get this far. The project has been split into two as we've gone through. RECEP is responsible now, or they're undertaking the funding and installation of the retractable cinema screen, and Norman's going to provide a bit of an update on where RECEP is with that after I've given you an overview of the report. And CODC has taken on the new house track curtain, the purchase of mobile scaffolding and the installation of a new auditorium bar. To give an update, we've got the new house track at the Roxbury Entertainment Centre now, and that's actually going to be fitted by the RECEP volunteers when they do the retractable screen. The purchase of the mobile scaffolding has also been completed. Now that's actually going to be shared with the Alexandra Theatre, and so the cost of it is being split between the two wards. And finally, with the Auditorium Lighting Bar, as we were progressing through with that installation, we actually took a time to pause and consult with the engineer again, and with RECEP as well, because we've actually discovered that the existing lighting bar can stay, but with strict restrictions on it that a maximum rating of 30.3 kg is applied to it. And we've looked at that, as you'll see through the report, and we can think that we can make that work, we being RECEP and council. And so that's our recommendation, and also that the remaining budget is actually transferred over to the next sort of major capital project there, which is the earthquake strengthening and fire upgrade project. So that's a bit of a synopsis of the report and where we're at. I think if we could actually transfer over to Norman and he can give a bit of an update from RECEP, and then I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
Okay, so as Christine pointed out, through the process of coming to understand what was happening with the engineering around the installation of the new lighting bar, we asked ourselves the question again as to whether additional lighting was ever going to be needed in the auditorium. And as part of the, I guess, the the improvement that Reset were looking at doing it by installing the new screen and having a new sound system put in for onstage activities. We felt that as the costs were increasing around the lighting bar and so forth, that it was worth reconsidering its priority. And I think if you remember back to, was that August meeting or July meeting last year, we talked about the importance of capacity in the facility and reinstating that capacity. I think you, Stephen, raised the point about it not being anywhere near sufficient. So Reset did that sort of recalc or reset and have focused on getting the retractable screen in and the sound system as such, and putting the additional funds that we did approve for the lighting bar back in towards getting mainly the fire protection system sorted. At the stage we're still seeking to get enough time to get the volunteers together to hand carry the 300 kilogram screen structure into the auditorium. We've had to wait to get access through the Catholic Church side of the building. Brent and Christina had some work done down the side of there, and we couldn't do that prior to Christmas. So hopefully when while all the Vanuatuan boys are around, all the fire brigade boys are with them, we'll be able to carry the blooming thing in there, because we can't crane it in. And once we get it in there, we'll be able to lift it up and put it in place pretty quickly, but it's just that last bit of logistics. We've settled with the engineer around how we're going to attach it to the existing proscenium wall without having to do any strengthening of anything. Yeah, so it's all should be a reasonably straightforward process once we get the time to do it. Conscious of the fact that the time is dragging on, but it's just having the people available.
Okay, thanks, Norman. That sounds like it's progressing, so that's the main thing. It'll be good when we get that new screen up, that's for sure.
Sorry, Raymond. One of the things that we've got to deal with at the moment is the way that COVID is affecting people's or capacity in the hall, and if we're showing movies and that sort of thing, having capacity at its maximum level is important to us, even though numbers, I guess if you say you can have 580 people in the combined space. Christina, was that the number?
Yeah.
Is that once we go to the Type 4 system?
Yeah.
That's maximum occupancy of 600 throughout the whole complex.
Yeah. Well, we started out at about 800, didn't we?
There's been loads of discussions through, but currently, that's the figure that we need to work towards, is the 600. Currently, we're at 170 in the town hall and 210 in the theatre, so that's a total of 380.
But that's not all together.
No, that is separate. You're quite right. Yes. So it's 170 in the town hall and 210 in the theatre. That's a better way of looking at it.
Yeah, so it's pretty important that we give that a bit of focus.
I believe it is very important that the community really needs that facility functioning at full capacity, really. I'm a bit concerned that this fire protection work has been on hold really while we come to a decision on whether we need to do full earthquake strengthening of that building, so that it comes up to the standard that we can use it in an emergency. I'm not convinced that needs to happen. I think there's other buildings in the town that could be used as an emergency evacuation facility rather than that particular building. But it seems to me it is holding up this fire protection work because it's cheaper to do it all at the same time if we do it. So I believe that decision needs to be really probably brought forward almost, so we know where we're going. Don't know what other people's views on that are.
Well, to my way of thinking is that if we've got let's call it $70,000 of budget that's become available of the 132 that's sitting there in next year's budget for the fire protection, that would enable us to start that fire protection work now, wouldn't it?
That would. It was always. Oh, sorry, Christina.
I could probably add something here as well, and that is, through the chair, that absolutely I would be working in the background anyway. Now, it was good to get this stage upgrade out of the way, and then this is definitely the next project that I'll be focusing on. Also, unfortunately, as I reported to the board, that we have also some issues down the southern side of the building as well. So I'm working on that, the earthquake strengthening, and I'm aware that there is discussions again I've just been made aware that there is discussions again around the emergency management team and whether they require this building for an earthquake defence centre. So that's what's triggering us going from that 34% that it's at, over currently, up to that 67%. So I can see that my next step is really locking that down as to whether that needs to happen. Also, I can absolutely work on this fire protection upgrade as well in the background and make sure that I've got my procurement plan and all those documents ready to rumble on the 1st of July when that budget comes through. And even if I can action that, any earlier, I will. So have you had any...
Raymond?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Just one moment. Norman, you're a member of the committee for the entertainment centre. I wonder if there's a conflict there being part of this item?
Yes and no. I've always been on the committee and have been part of these discussions.
That's Rebecca here, Norman. It's fine to give context, but then you can't participate in. It's not recommended that you then participate in the conversation from the board's point of view. You're there to talk about it from the committee's point of view, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Roger that.
Thanks.
I'll mute my mic and just keep talking to myself.
One question, Christina. Now these budgets for this fire protection work and even the earthquake strengthening I know building costs are skyrocketing at the moment, so that those figures may be not relevant now. There would need to be some.
So absolutely. So you'd see within my report, I'd said, this is really good financial sense as well, and mitigation of risk of even those other projects to recognise, hey, look, these other projects quite possibly are going to be affected by the COVID impact, which is impacting not only on material cost, but it's the supply and also the labour as well. So we're really challenging times.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
So definitely hear what the board is saying, that and also RECIP as well, that a really big priority for the community is the fact that we get these numbers up and get that, make it a real big priority to get this alarm system in.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. The only other question I had, the mobile scaffolding we're sharing with Alexandra. Obviously, it must be easily transported. Must be
Yeah,
able
it
to-
is. Yeah, so it arrived to us via courier. It's been sitting it will sit primarily at the Alexandra Service Centre in our garages there for storage, and then when required, it will be brought to either the Alexandra Theatre or to the Roxbury Theatre. It's actually sitting at the Roxbury Theatre on the stage at the moment, in anticipation of the retractable cinema, screen, sorry, to go in.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it's going to come back to base. So we just keep a track of all the parts and the pieces and make sure that the people who are operating the mobile scaffolding have been given the brief around safety usage.
Yeah, excellent. Has anyone else got any other members got any questions for Christina or Norman for that matter?
No, it's been a long time coming, and I'm pleased to see that we're finally getting somewhere. The one thing I will note, though, if you look, Christina, on page 14, there's a typo there. I read it twice. I thought, what are we talking about there? So removal of the polypropylene lowering straps and the installation of 2 chairs. It says 2 chains.
Installation of 2 chains. Yeah, good spotting.
Yeah.
Just making sure that you're reading it.
Yeah. So no, I think
bonus for you. Yeah, thanks. Sorry about
I
the
think it's a
typo.
great outcome.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, just move on to the resolution.
So the other point I'd make is then during that discussion, Raymond, is that when it's being used for funerals at the moment and we're having those high numbers, those same rules still apply about how many people can be in the facility at any one time, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
So it's not just for emergencies at the moment. We don't meet the spec for some of the funerals that are being held.
That's why there's been some funerals in CHJ's pack house, because they haven't had a facility big enough. So very important that we get that up to scratch.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to move all these 3 items in one go, Wayne?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll get someone to move in a moment that we receive the report and accept the level of significance. Agree to remove the upgrade to the Auditorium Lighting Bar from the Roxbury Entertainment Centre upgrade project. The condition existing lighting bar's maximum rating is at 30.3 kgs. And approves the remaining budget of 71,306 to be carried forward and then transferred to the earthquake strengthening and fire upgrade project for the Roxbury Entertainment Centre, including a 2-year, included in year 2 of the long-term plan. So someone like to move that resolution be put?
I'll do that.
There's only 2 of yous.
Yep.
I'll do that.
I'll
Sally,
second.
Norman. All those in favour?
That's Councillor Jeffrey seconding,
That's
just
Jeffrey.
to clarify.
Everyone's in favour of that?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, thanks, Christina.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah.
Carry on with. Are you going to? Sorry, Christina, are you here for some more of the meeting, or are you away? Because I did have
I can be around.
I did have
Absolutely.
a letter that I was going to just briefly talk about from the golf club.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll stick around for your report. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Not
for
a
that.
problem. Okay, you're welcome.
Okay. We'll move on to the next item, which is the annual plan budget fees and charges. Leanne and Anne.
And we're back again. Good afternoon, everyone, again. And yes, Anne is with me, and we're going to go through the formal report regarding the annual plan budget and the fees and charges schedule. In line with other community boards, we're presenting them so that the community boards can officially agree to their annual plans and budgets and fees and recommend that council adopt them and incorporate them into their 2022-23 annual plan. So in line with council's directive, we've done everything we can to try and keep the budgets as they were in the long-term plan. We've had no material changes. We have had changes in growth, and we have had changes in the Waka Kotahi subsidy, and as a consequence of that, how our roading's budgeted. And as with any annual plan, post long-term plan, there's always changes to capital projects and costs, and the timing of capital projects and costs, and you've just heard that today with Christina's presentation. All of those movements impact one way or the other on our balance sheet and our reserves. So there's nothing new than what's already in the report. I guess I'm happy to take, I'm happy to take questions and answer anything that might not make sense.
Anyone got any questions? I think we've had a pretty good discussion on everything. There's been no real changes except the cost of interest for the pool loan. Which is
was expected. In principle, that all kicks in for the full year.
Yeah.
The full range of fees and charges are there for you to see. And you can see that in red anything that's slightly different. So waste management, that changes every year because it's a reflection of how the costs fall, and everything else is more district as opposed to your community board.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Leanne. Anyone got any questions for Leanne?
Yeah, I do actually, but I'm just trying to flick back and look at it because there's two figures mentioned here for the rating increase. It's 6.9 and 6.2.
Correct. And that is correct. So the 6.9, I'm just trying to pull my report back up.
Yeah, I'm just looking this up.
The 6.9 covers everything across the district. Sorry, the 6.9, just bear with me for a moment, is the targeted rates for the Roxbury community with no adjustment for growth or anything. It's just purely the targeted rates. 6.2 is the impact of everything happening in the Roxbury ratepayer. That includes the district-wide, and it includes targeted, and it allows for growth.
Okay. Yep.
Does that make sense? It's a real hard one, and I know Anne, Kim and I spend a lot of time checking these numbers because you start to forget which bucket what you're walking in, and sometimes we're in the whole district, and other times we're in that Roxbury only, or community board only. So 6.2 is everything for your district, for your ward.
So that's the increase for, that's including district stuff. That's everything.
Correct. And so the district-wide average is sitting on around the 7.5, 7.4, but for Roxbury it's just a little bit less, and that just reflects, I think, in different wards are carrying different costs depending on the size of their projects that they set out for year 2.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sorry, did you say 6.4 or 7.4?
It's 7.4. It's around 7.4, 7.5. We've still got to run the numbers a final time as we make adjustments based on information coming through from community boards. But after Vincent, it was sitting around the 7 point. It was sitting between 7.4 and 7.5.
Okay. Happy there, Sally?
Yep.
Don't think I've got any other questions there. You happy, Stephen?
Yep.
Norman?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay. We'll move the resolution. Can we move? We receive the report and accept the level of significance. We agree to accept the Tibet Valley Ward draft 2022-23 annual plan budgets and recommend to council for inclusion in the 2022-23 annual plan. Agree to accept the Tibet Valley Ward 2022-23 fees and charges schedule and recommend to council for inclusion in the 2022-23 annual plan. So that's the 3 things. Can someone move that we accept those?
I'll do that.
Thanks, Sally. I'll second it. Anyone not happy with that resolution? Everyone's happy? Passed.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks,
Lily.
Anne.
Thanks.
Cool. Okay. Moving on to the appointments to external bodies, and Rebecca is going to talk to us on that one.
Oh, thanks, Raymond. This report follows on from the conversation that we had at the end of last year about the appointments that the board makes to external organisations, and just tidying that up in time for the election later on in this year. So the report tries to capture the thinking that from that workshop, and that's all I really have to say. If there's any questions.
Yeah, it was all pretty self-explanatory in the agenda here, and we discussed it earlier in the year. Has anyone got any questions on the liaison versus representative positions? Has everyone got their head around it? Everyone seems happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, all good, except I was just wondering what the definition of liaison was when considering that Norman was not allowed to continue in that or making a decision. He can be in the conversation but can't be part of the decision. Is that correct?
What the report doesn't cover as much as so people come onto community boards with roles already in the community, and that's my understanding of Norman's position in that example, which is what happens in communities such as the Teviot. And so often that person will provide a useful view from that organisation's point of view, but they then cannot participate in the conversation and voting of that item because they do have that interest, and it could be perceived that there's a bias there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Stephen, it's like when I'm on this.
He was invited. Sorry, he was invited to comment.
That's right, and he was invited to comment as a member of the committee.
Yeah.
But it was just then when it was transferring into the discussion on behalf of the board, we just needed to make that clear.
I understand. Yep, that's good.
You've got to be careful that things are taken in the right context too, though, in the discussions.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted to have a discussion about what I was discussing.
Yeah.
But I was giving my view as a resit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Kushler's the liaison, isn't she?
Yeah. Kushler's liaison, for that group.
Yeah.
So Norman was just, giving his perspective from a member of the group. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Everyone happy there?
Yes. Yeah. We should have hats that we have to wear.
Can't see them today, Norman.
Well, if I had a hat, I'd have my camera on.
Okay. Someone like to move that we see the report and accept the level of significance, agree that the appointments to the Roxbury Entertainment Centre Improvement Committee, Tibet District Museum Committee, Tibet Prospects, and the Roxbury Swimming Pool Redevelopment Committee are liaison positions, and that a liaison position on the Tibet Valley Rest Home be added to the list of external appointments.
No, I've got an interest in the rest home too, Rebecca.
Yes, but this is about the delegation, not about the rest home.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll move A, B, and C.
Excellent. Thanks, Stephen. Seconder for that?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Sally. Anyone not happy with that resolution? All the parts of it? Okay, it's passed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Okay, moving on to the Mayor's report. We have Tim here. Cool.
Here I am.
How are you, Tim?
Myself quietly going mad. Hello. Nice to see everybody, even though it's not in person. It's a shame not to be able to be there, but obvious reasons why not. But I did have a Jimmy's pie for lunch just to keep up the Tibet community board mere tradition. Obviously, the fact that we're meeting this way is a portend of what's coming our way in 2022. I sent an email out this week and recommend people read the I think it was Monday's ODT. A person called Bridget Delaney from The Guardian in Australia wrote about what COVID has been like over there, and it was really quite interesting and I think a useful thing to read as we wait for what we know is coming, and as much as let's not panic. I think let's be prepared as we can and let's not panic, because this boogeyman's been in our life for a couple of years now, and by and large it's been hypothetical. Obviously there are people back some time ago that did suffer from the illness, but it might not be quite as bad for the vast majority of us as we'd think. The lady who wrote the article was quite interesting. She said the first thing you might notice if you have the Tracer app, which of course you should, and if you have the Bluetooth on, you should, as your phone will just start pinging at you. And after a while, the pings will just become constant if you're going out, because there is just so much in your community. Get used to taking a long time. Depending on how the RATS rollout goes, that seems to be perhaps better than it was even a week ago, because the normal tests simply can't operate. They do them in batches. When you've got a lot in the, they'll do them in a batch of say 20, and then if there is somebody positive in that, they'll go and do the 20. Once you've got a lot of positive people, that just doesn't work. Don't get a big fright when the first member of your household or your workplace or your friends network gets a positive test. Don't panic. Just be there to support them. They'll probably be all right. And don't panic when you see the supermarket shelves start to thin out. It's just not enough truck drivers on the road. So she signed off with, I think the exact words, be kind, calm, and try not to panic, because this too shall pass. At the same time, I got a message from my nephew who lives in the Gold Coast, and he said that before Christmas, he never knew anybody who had had COVID, and now he doesn't know anybody who hasn't. And that probably sums it up as best as anything. But one last thing on COVID, it's good to see that Teviot Valley has reached 92% double vaccinated across the 18+ population. That compares to 93.9% across the district, but still above that 90% mark that we've been aiming at. So that's going to be of huge help in the coming weeks. Well, we did have lots of people here, and we still do. Summer was really busy across the district, and I did pop down to the Teviot on a couple of occasions, and it did seem busy there as well. Beautiful, beautiful fruit bought on the way home. And there seems to have been a drop-off. Accommodation providers I've talked to have said a real hit after the red light, the cancellation. I talked to one business in Cromwell. Sorry, I heard from one business in Cromwell today, $100,000 lost by the cancellation of warbirds just in lost bookings, people who were coming to that. But we've done well. We've done better than most, and there's some bumps to come. A really big congratulations to the Medical Trust. They put a really excellent video on Facebook searching for a doctor for the practice, and at the same time doubling as an absolutely fantastic video for the magical place that the Tibet Valley is. And going back in time, I attended the final business breakfast for 2020, and I won't report anything from that you don't already know. Back in December, people were worried about getting staff, and they still are. Although long term or medium term, today's announcement that the borders are planned to reopen may alleviate that somewhat. Let's hope so. So that's me. Happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thanks, Tim. Just talking about the vaccination rate, I have heard that 1 to 2 people that weren't getting vaccinated have now, just to go back to their job, and there's been some school kids going for their driver's license found they have to be vaccinated, so they got a few more. So yeah, so we're getting up there. Yeah. Cool. Next further questions for Tim? Excellent, thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll quickly move on to my report.
I need to receive Tim's report.
Okay, yeah. So I'd like to move that Tim's report be received.
I'll move.
Oh, yeah, I'll second it. Wayne. Yep. Everyone happy we accept the Mayor's report?
Yep.
Okay, received. Move on to my report now. 27th of November, Norman Daly and I met with 7 members of the Dunedin RSA and 3 members of the local Roxbury Millers Flat RSA, and had a look over the tailings and plantation land at Roxbury East. It was more of a familiarisation for the Dunedin members and looking at possible options for the land as the current leasee wants out. There was talk on various options. Most of it came back to planting trees again. Possibly the implications of the ETS, and it could be worth planting it in pine trees again. So there seems to be an indication coming from the members of the RSA and Dunedin and the locals members that whatever happens over there, it'll be still likely open to the public to, because a lot of tracks and that sort of thing over there, cycle tracks, walking tracks. So they seem pretty open to that. 1st of December was a pool meeting. Sally will talk a little bit more about the pool shortly. 2nd of December, Steve and Jeffrey and I attended a stakeholders workshop on Lake Onslow project led by Doc. That was in Alexandra. And it was a discussion on the conservation, recreation and community values of the Lake Onslow area. In attendance at that, there was Fish and Game, Deer Stalkers Association, Natural Heritage Trust, and Teviot Angling Club, and quite a few DOC members there. So that was quite a good discussion on, and it goes to show really that it's held in, that area is held in fairly high regard by quite a few groups that you don't always think about, and so if it's flooded, well, it will be quite a it will mean quite a lot to the community and a lot of recreational groups. 6th of December, Tibet Valley Rest Home meeting. And on the 7th of December, a Roxbury Medical Trust meeting. 14th of December, pop-up COVID vaccination clinic at the Roxbury Medical Centre, where the Medical Service Trust did a barbecue. And there was quite a lot of RSE workers getting vaccinated at that vaccination clinic. 26th of January was a Medical Service Trust Zoom meeting. And we've still got the ongoing issue of trying to find a doctor, and it seems to be getting harder and harder when we've got a doctor at the moment retiring end of February. It's pretty hard going at the moment trying to find someone to replace him. The last couple of days, the phone started to go hot on. Everyone must be starting to think about issues that the council needs to look at. I had site visit to 8 and 8A Tweed Street to look at an overgrown verge onto Scotland Street. There's new owners of those 2 flats right next to Reservoir Creek. Board members will remember Maureen Compton owned one of them. Well, there's new people in there, and Maureen Compton, when she lived there, looked after shrubbery on the edge of the footpath on Scotland Street, and there's new people there are not interested in doing that, and it's got a gorse bush and broom bushes and a buddleia bush growing in it, and they are wanting the board to look after it. Now, I pointed out that we do look after verges that are mowing only. So she had been talking to council staff, and there must be a new guy at roading. Fellow Kane, I have never met. Is that his name? And he said to get onto the community board members, so that's where I got the phone calls. So there's a bit of an issue there. I'm not just sure whether we want to take on, it's virtually gardening on the verges, or what we do there. It is council land, so does everyone know where I'm talking about? Yeah. So what we do there, I'll have to talk to some of the roading staff to see what could be done if we do anything. But it is a bit of an eyesore. Also had a site visit to number 8 Selkirk Place in Quailhaven. It's the same issues, similar issue to we've had before with that traffic island in Quailhaven there. That is, it's really had to be modified before when a new house was built, and it would almost be best if it was gone altogether, because it's going to need to be modified where a new house is about to be built on the top side of it, and it is blocking the entranceway. You can't get anything in or out because of this island. It's going to be an ongoing issue when there's 2 more sections get built on down towards the main road, and that's something that I haven't had a chance to raise with the roading team yet. I had a member of the public in Millers Flat ring me, ask me why they needed vaccine passes at the Millers Flat pool. I initially thought she was a member of the pool committee, but she wasn't. And thanks to Gordy, I got a satisfactory response from him that I passed on, and that was that the Millers Flat Pool Committee was advised by CODC that they should use vaccine passes for pool users, as they fall into the membership facilities category, but ultimately it was the committee's decision. The pool committee has decided to carry on with vaccine pass use at the pool, so that has been passed on to this person who rang me, and I have heard no more, so that's good. And Christina's still there. I just got a copy of this letter from the golf club regarding a couple of issues. One is the new lease payments under our new policy. They have got an issue with the amount that they have to pay, as well as rates and water rates. It's fairly long letter itemising all the rabbit control and weed control that they have done, and it's an ongoing cost. And I presume you're going to bring a report to us at our next meeting, I think, isn't it, Christina? Looking at this.
Hi, Raymond. So I've become also aware that there is actually a review being done of the community licensing and licensing policy. So I'd like to actually hold off bringing that to the board, potentially to the meeting after, because I understand there's going to be workshops done by a policy team with council and then the community boards. So that letter actually came out of conversations that I have been having with the golf club, and I'd actually asked them to put it in writing, so then I can then take that and do a report to the the Teviot Valley Community Board. But I think it would be good to have these conversations about the policy as a whole first and see where they go, and then come to you with that.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. Yeah.
And I've made the club aware.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and the other issue was something that I never realised was an issue, is that the golf club car park has turned up as being in no man's land. It's not actually part of the lease.
Yes, so it's not a part of anybody's lease because it is actually used for, when I looked into it too, it is actually used for the event centre, you know, the rugby club at times as well. So I think that's the original reason why it hasn't been included. But yes, the golf club do take responsibility for that area as in terms of maintenance. So we can look at that as well through the report.
Cool. Yeah, okay. I have just seen the chat. I managed to get it up. So, Louise, that it's about the open spaces contract. Is that what we're talking about with that verge issue?
Yes, so it's not in the contract, Raymond, and I guess the risk, Gordy suggested that we could price it, but the risk is if you start maintaining verges outside one property, are you happy to maintain all of them? And I suspect that would come at some cost.
Yes, I know. It's always an issue. It is one verge in that particular area that is probably never going to be mowable. That's the only issue, and what we do with it. I know Tibet Valley is probably the only ward that looks after their verges, as in mowing them all. And but we do get a lot of comment on how tidy the town looks when you drive through it. This is right on Scotland Street, so.
So I wonder if to progress it, whether Gordy so the chap you're talking about, Steve O'Kane, manages the open spaces contract. Perhaps one of them could actually go and have a look and see if there is value in pricing it and whether it's different enough that it wouldn't create a precedent, or there might be another option, like you might take the garden out. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's either that or chip it with schist or do something.
Yeah.
It's very low maintenance. Yeah.
So perhaps if we have a look at it and then come back to you.
Good as gold.
Okay.
Thanks, Louise and Gordy. Right, that's my report. Someone like to move the chair's report be accepted?
I'll do that.
Thanks, Sally, and seconded Norman.
Yeah.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay. Stephen, do you want to start this time since you're first on my screen?
Yep. I was going to ask about the garden you're talking about. I certainly would not advocate that we start spending money on looking after people's gardens outside their house. They should be pushed to do it, and if we decide that it falls back on us, then I would agree with you. We take it out, because this is that particular area that's been a problem for a long time. You remember that Cliff Parker used to talk about it all the time when he couldn't get past on his mobility scooter. So I just think it's a bit poor if they can't get out there and fix it up themselves.
Well, that's right. And there was a large tree there that we got taken out. That was leaning over one of the flats, and it's could end up being just more of a pain than it's worth. Yeah.
Okay, so on the 30th of the 11th, I attend. Well, it's a Zoom meeting that they have every week. This is the weekly regional chairs update, which was stopped over Christmas, so I didn't have to attend quite as many as usual, and they're ongoing again now. That's primarily about the RSE scheme. On the 1st of December, I took the Tourism Minister, Stuart Nash, for a short cycle on the Roxbury Gorge, and we discussed the issues about the missing section of trail that hasn't been completed and some of the problems we're facing there. So that was a good meeting. He was quite positive. On the 2nd of December, like you reported, I attended a dock workshop discussion on conservation values for the Lake Onslaught project. The 3rd of the 12th was audit and risk meeting. The 7th of the 12th was a hearings panel meeting. The 8th of the 12th was a council meeting. The 11th of the 12th which is one that you missed. Elected members Christmas lunch, which was a good outing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The 14th of the 12th was a council meeting, which was actually a workshop. 15th of the 1st was a hearings panel meeting on Teams, and on the 21st, and that was just to finalise some decisions that we didn't get completed from the previous year. And on the 26th was a council meeting followed by a workshop. Basically, we talked, I think it was discussed today, the approval of the Vincent Spatial Plan. There was a report on the Alexandra Airport Master Plan and grants policy was discussed. Right, just a couple of other points I've got here. I did attend several Roxbury Medical Services Trust meetings, but I didn't record the dates, sorry. And a note that the release of the Central Otago Labour Market Survey, which comes out of the Central Otago Labour Market Governance Group, which is what I chair within council, and there were several funders that put money into that project. So that's released, and it's a public document now. It's a good read, and some of the interesting facts that come out of that was the new plantings are starting to slow, which is probably to be expected on the back of the shortage of labour, and a lot of the orchard owners, vineyard owners, have put in considerably more accommodation over the last couple of years. So the shortage of accommodation that had been highlighted when we did the 3-year survey, obviously 3 years ago, has been addressed, and the shortage going forward won't be quite as dramatic as it has been in the past, which is a positive outcome. That's my report.
Thanks, Stephen.
Sorry, Stephen, what was the name of that report?
It's the Central Otago Labour Survey, and it's that is a public document. I can send you a copy of that if you want it.
Thank you.
Okay. Sally.
Okay, so on the 1st of December, I attended a swimming pool meeting and didn't really have, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We didn't really have much to report because we were waiting to hear back at that stage from both Brains with a budget and from lotteries. So that was at the beginning of December. On the 3rd of December, we heard from lotteries, and they confirmed that they were giving us $400,000 plus GST grant. So that worked out at $460,000, and that has already been paid into our account. So that was fantastic. In terms of the swimming pool, we are having a Zoom meeting at 6 o'clock tonight with Dave from Innovo, who is our project manager, to talk through the budget. So I'll have further update after the meeting tonight. On the 8th of December, I attended the business breakfast meeting. On the 11th, the lunch, the community board members lunch. On the 13th of December, I attended the Welcoming Communities ceremony at council, and I'm now on that advisory group. I also made a little bit of headway with Contact Energy regarding the Commissioner's track, and the agreement is that I go back to them in the new year and have a chat, and we see what we can do about doing some upgrade work on that trail. So that's something that I'll be following up shortly. And then on the 3rd of February, so that was yesterday, I attended a Teviot Valley MPI Community Hub Grant meeting. So I've also been asked to go on to that advisory group, really because I'm on Teviot Prospects, and Teviot Prospects will be handling the grant money. So they just want someone that wasn't a fruit grower to be part of that group, but that was also associated with Teviot Prospects. And it's quite a good fit with the Welcoming Communities Advisory Group, because it's again about attracting workers to our district. So it seemed like quite a good fit to be on both of those. So at the meeting yesterday, we were discussing the contractor role. They'll be going out advertising for a contractor. It's a 12-month contract, and also organising a fruit growers meeting, which is going to be in the next couple of weeks. And that's that from me.
Cool, thanks, Sally. Norman.
Hello.
Yep.
So going back to the end of November, as Raymond said, we met with the guys from the RSA, which was actually quite interesting, given that I initially made contact with them 18 months beforehand, and it's taken that long for us to get in the same place at the same time to actually talk about what's happening with the plantation land. I've got a new chairman and a totally new committee, and the committee seems to be quite motivated, which is in doing something with the community, which is good, and keeping us abreast of what they're doing. Like everybody else in that community-based environment, they have a mandate where they will provide for their members, and one of their means of providing for their members is the income off that plantation land. So how they achieve that, they have gone away to sort of bandy around the ideas that they have, and like Raymond says, the most common sense thing for them to do is to replant it. I don't think they've had too much luck out of leasing the land in the last 3 decades, given that they've had, I think it was about, was it $10,000 worth of income off it, or 20,000? Like, it was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And they sort of suddenly realised that they missed out on a whole heap of potential income because of the contracts that were put in place earlier. So, I mean, time will tell with that. Through December and January, I've had lots and lots of meetings around the rest home, given my position on that board. We had a meeting with the McPhail trustees to review our investment plan, and it's working well for the trust. Numbers I haven't got in front of me at the moment. What else have I done? We met with the Ngāi Tahu Runaka regarding the some of the options for the stand property or the former health camp. They talked to us about an idea of, and this is in my capacity on the rest home board, the idea of building a retirement village up there. They're currently going through a feasibility study with that, and are looking to work with the rest home should they decide to go ahead. And so we started that initial discussion around how that might look. Interesting, because the Ngāi Tahu Holdings, which is a bigger part of the corporate part of Ngāi Tahu, the major stakeholder in Ryman Healthcare. So if they decide that's what they want to do in Roxbury, they'll do it with a good foundation, which gives us some good opportunity.
Yep.
And that's about it, really, from me.
Okay, thanks, Norman. Very good. Someone like to move those reports we've received?
Yep. Yeah.
A seconder?
Yes, I'll second that.
Stephen? Anyone not in favour of that resolution? Okay, it's passed. Okay. Move on to just some governance reports, just a quick look over what's happening with one or two things that we've passed in the past. So the Roxbury Entertainment Centre stage upgrade, right, that's really closed now. We've got that sorted. We had made that allocation to the Tibet Valley Walkways Reserve out of the reserve fund, the walkway, so that's progressing. Just as an aside there, what ended up happening, does Gordy know what happened about the trees on Grover's Hills? It was I haven't been up for a look, but has there been trees removed there, the pines?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Oh, they have, they? Okay. Yeah.
And remember, we'll come back to the board. We'll come back to the board in the future with some options of what we could suggest to replant that area with, bearing in mind we like trails and things to go through it at the same time.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for that.
So are they taking out all the trees that are in that plantation, or just the ones that are in the damaged areas?
All the trees at this stage. It was more cost effective to do that.
Yeah, so it encompasses all the trees as opposed to the damaged areas. Is
yeah,
good call it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Gordy. Promotion grant applications. Now we gave a grant to the Cavalcade Committee, the Miller's Flat Cavalcade, 2,500. I had Deirdre Dons ring me Monday, it was, because probably everyone knows now the Cavalcade is not happening this year, and it will be postponed until next year. And she's been dealing with Ellie Mason, so it wasn't, well, I suggested that probably that they will refund that 2,500 and reapply for something next year, and that would be part of the conditions of that grant. And she understood that and was going to talk to Ellie about it.
I'm here.
Sorry?
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Have you've been talking to Deirdre? Not
Yes.
Deirdre, Deborah.
Deborah, yes, I have.
Yeah.
And what I've actually done is I've actually gone to the just signed off grant policy, which was signed off last week at council. And if we read that, there is a little bit of leeway in that the policy now says grants will need to be spent within 1 year of being awarded unless an extension has been granted.
Okay.
So if the board felt that it was appropriate, they could request to hold that for the event next year, potentially.
Okay. Yep. So is it something we've got to have a formal resolution for? Come to us about that, or what's your plan there? Because it sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
When it's been done previously, it's been done through the status reports, just that they provide an application and you discuss it and you agree or disagree. If you disagree, we just ask for the money back.
Oh,
the other thing I did discuss with her is around the use of any profits, and because that's clarified in the new policy as well. And in the discussion I did have with them, Deborah was very clear that they would be doing well if they broke even.
Yes, she went to great lengths to tell me, and she was quite concerned about it, that they might, in the environment we're living at the moment, that they'll be doing well not to make a loss. That's what she was really worried about, and so the issue that was brought up at our last meeting about profits going to a playground in Miller's Flat. She reckoned that was a completely different issue, and she was more worried about breaking even than making a profit. Yeah.
So it would be it's entirely up to what the board thinks is appropriate. I mean, yes, we can ask them to refund the money and then reapply. Again, that's putting them through a process that they may not necessarily have to do unless they wanted to reapply for more. And in this case, the funding was coming out of reserves as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm the opinion that it would be probably a good idea to roll it over to next year. But what does everyone else think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that, and I should point out that at council meeting last week, as I chaired that part of the meeting, there was quite a discussion around the grants policy, and I certainly raised the issue about when potential organisations that have had funding can then go on to make quite a profit and choose where they spend the money, because that was something we discussed at our last Teviot Valley Community Board last year. That was generally some that were not in favour of that happening, particularly when it can impact on community boards whereby they can go and put that funding into something that then requires more funding to finish the project and has further implications for the community board in terms of funding something that's been that someone else has chosen to do.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
We're looking to adjust the application form for future rounds to include a question asking what the intentions are with regards to profits made on events.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which might help boards with their decision.
That would help. Yeah. Because I think some other cavalcades have made profits, but it's usually come down to large sponsorship contributions from businesses or fundraising really, but from sponsors, and they were really struggling to do that at the moment with Miller's Flat. Yeah.
Particularly difficult for any event at this point in time.
Okay. So everyone's happy enough to roll in favour of rolling that over then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So we can do that then, if we can inform the committee of that, Ellie?
Certainly, I'll give Deborah a call. She'll be thrilled.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. The other issues on here, there's a couple of road stopping issues that have been closed. That's on Ladysmith Road. And the application to lease reserve land, that was to Tibet Contracting, I believe. That's closed. And the Roxbury Cemetery trustees were wanting to hand the museum over to the council to look after and administer. And they're just waiting on some doc to get back about some boundary transfers, obviously. Yeah. And the only one we got a legacy report, and I think it's going to be there for a long time, is this one, a walking track at Pinder's Pond and a jetty. Don't know where that's going to end up. Okay. Saskia, did you want to talk about anything in this work program for 22?
No, I haven't really got any further to add on that.
Yeah.
You will all notice that it's a bit light in the second half of the year. The reason being for that, the work program's tied with the budgeting cycle. So as we move through the year, I'll update it. And what the plan is to move actually to a calendar year. So once we get to July, run it from July through to the June, which will align better with work programs.
Okay.
Any questions from members on that one? Thank you.
All good, I think. Everyone happy? Yep. Okay. I'll move that report, governance report, be received. Would someone like to second that?
Yeah, well,
Thanks, Norman. Anyone not in favour of that report being received? No. Okay. Cool. That's passed. Okay. Next meeting, 24th of March, 2022. So don't know what sort of meeting it will be. It'll be time will tell, but it could be another Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting too.
it'll be a happy meeting.
Okay, thank everyone for their attendance and stay safe.
See ya.